Also, as well, there's another Patricia and Karis have joined us. So I wanted to say hello to yourselves too. Thank you for joining us. Now I wanted to mention your work, and I think because Walter was mentioned, I think that it would be a real shame for people that haven't heard about your experience with Walter if they didn't know about it. So you're happy to go into that, please?
Sure. I have told the story hundreds of times, and I think my dog's about to start barking. So if that happens, I'll fix it. But our enemies, are walking by the door. Um, I was fascinated by ghosts and ghost stories since I was a little kid. And when I was about 11 years old, my dad was working at a restaurant in Moncton, Maryland, on what was called My Lady's Manor, which was this large expanse of land owned by the third Lord Baltimore, Charles Calvert, in the early to mid 1700s. And he built this big expanse of land for his wife, and there were farms and houses, and the restaurant itself had originally been a horse stable, and later it was a tavern, and later a restaurant. uh, and even today, the whole area is known as like horse country, and it's a very beautiful part of the state of Maryland. So the restaurant was supposed to be haunted, and then right outside of the parking lot of the restaurant was a little row of houses located right along the road. One of them, which is now abandoned, very interestingly, was occupied by people who were living at the working at the restaurant. And then the next one over was this creepy old gray abandoned house that the locals referred to as Walter's house. Walter was the name of every ghost. So everybody just called the ghost Walter, because there had been a story that one time uh, some poor guy in the cleaning crew was working early in the morning when a woman came up to him dressed in like period clothing, like with, hooped skirt and everything, and asked him, where's Walter? And he shrugged and said, I don't know. And she, sort of had a puzzled look on her face, and then turned and then walked into a wall and vanished, and that he like quit on the spot. So after that story started to circulate, everybody called the ghost Walter. And there was another abandoned house down the way. That one was so abandoned and dilapidated that you couldn't go inside. So Walter's house was accessible, and my parents allowed little old me to explore the inside of it. And I became fascinated with the house, and I felt this sense of thrill, but also like responsibility. Like, I'm going to research the house and protect the house and learn all about its ghosts. And this is like 11-year-old Amelia, like being really like serious about like being a budding ghost hunter. And I experienced a few odds and ends in the house of like weird sounds and, strange things like that. But then I remember one day I was leaving the house with my mom and a friend from 6th grade who had come to my like ghost hunting presentation that I gave for like my English class. He wanted to see the house. So, we drove out there. And when we left, I remember saying out loud, like, I just want to see Walter one time. I would give anything just to see this ghost. And as we were leaving, we just looked up at the house, to kind of say goodbye. And up in one of the attic windows, there was 2 attic windows. It's that classic sort of architectural style, these little eye windows. Leaning out of one of the windows was a man, or like a boy or a young man, um, that looked, you know, he was completely white, but he did have shadows, like texture in his clothing. So I could tell he was wearing suspenders and pants and like a cuffed collared shirt. And I could see the detail of his hair, but he had no face. Um, it wasn't like scary no face, like a gaping hole or anything. It was just a white space. Um, and I was not afraid. I was completely exhilarated and like enthralled and spellbound. And I was looking up and I got this like swirling feeling of static electricity in my stomach and all over my body. And we were pulling away very slowly, and his head just followed the car. And it was just like he even though I couldn't see his face, I got this impression that he was surprised that we could see him, but kind of excited. Like, and he was watching us drive away. And like, I was looking up at him, presumably making eye contact. And then we drove away. And my mom didn't see it. Graham and I both saw it. And I asked him, I said, okay, what did you see? And he described the exact same thing. And my mom got really excited. She was like, should I go back? Like, should we turn around? Should I put it in reverse? And I remember saying, no, don't. I don't want to go back and have nothing be there. Part of me doesn't want to go back and have the ghost still be there, but I was like, I don't want to go back. I want to preserve that moment in time forever because it was the coolest thing. And nothing like that has happened since. And I always felt they ended up tearing the house down about a year later. I always felt a deep connection with it, with that area and with that spirit in a non-creepy or harmful way, like not in a parasitic sense, but just that he has almost become part of this like lexicon of guardian, people call them by different things, guardian angels or spirit guides, or just people that come and go to watch over us, that he's like there if I need him. But at other times in my life when I have been in crisis, I have felt his presence in a comforting way. So it was very cool. And I think, because I know that folks who are watching, like in the UK, are like probably wondering how old the house was, because things here just aren't that old. But the house was probably My Lady's Manor was mid 1700s. So the house itself was from probably like the 1750s, 1770s, which is getting pretty old for us. Along the East Coast, you get some stuff that's like from the late 1500s and 1600s too, but that's rare. And then the last items that were in the house before, because there was just stuff everywhere from when it had been abandoned, the most recent items were from like 1954. So the house had been abandoned for a very long time too.
That's pretty cool. And it's nice that you felt that presence, as you said, through times of crisis as well. If that had happened to you now, because at 11 years old, you didn't want to go back, either if he was there or wasn't there, do you think you would have acted the same now? Or do you think, oh, let's go back and take a look?
There's no way on planet Earth that I would ever say out loud again, like, I really hope that I see a ghost, because I don't think that, like, I don't possess the same type of constitution now where I could like take it. I don't think I could take it psychologically. I definitely, but if I did see something, I would want to go back. Now I would want to go back and say, yes, I have to know that I'm not crazy. But that's because I think I'm more skeptical now than I used to be. When I was 11 and everything was in front of me and I was innocent and fascinated, I was like, wow, ghosts, come to me. Cool. The world is the coolest place ever. Now, also after years and years of, like, I do some paranormal investigation, but mostly just being around and in environments of discussion and study and whatever of paranormal stuff, I have so much more baggage that if I saw something, I would have to go back and like prove and then double, triple prove that it was real before I would let myself think that it was real, which is really robbing myself too of an experience, because it's okay, I think, to get excited and to hope that something is real, even if it's not.